I met my ex-fiancé, Ashley, during my first year of college when we were both 18. From the start, we had an undeniable chemistry. Our friendship turned romantic faster than I expected, and everything just clicked. Our relationship was the kind that people envied. Friends would say, if those two ever break up, then love doesn't exist. It wasn't just that we looked happy, we really were. Ashley was everything I could have hoped for. Funny, smart, beautiful, and grounded. She was also family-oriented, which was important to me because I always envisioned building a close-knit family of my own one day. Over the years, our families became incredibly close, spending holidays together, and sharing moments that made us feel like one big extended family. A year ago, I proposed to Ashley. She said yes, and I felt like the happiest man alive. But soon after, I started noticing changes. She seemed distant, not the Ashley I had fallen in love with. I told myself it was normal, that it was probably just nerves about the wedding. Who doesn't get a bit of cold feet before such a huge commitment? But those doubts were eating at me. I couldn't ignore the fact that she was going out more with her friends. They'd hit the clubs and drink until late at night. I'd been on some of these outings before, and while I didn't enjoy them, I trusted her. After all, what's a relationship without trust? But after I proposed, these nights out started to happen more frequently. My gut was screaming at me that something was wrong, but I forced myself to push it aside. Then, everything shattered. I got a text from one of Ashley's friends, someone who must have been carrying guilt for a long time. She told me Ashley had been feeling anxious about getting married. The thought of being locked down scared her, and she felt she hadn't experienced enough of life. To cope, she'd been flirting with other guys at clubs, dancing provocatively, grinding, and even making out with them. But what hit me the hardest was learning she hooked up with a guy in the club bathroom. Her friend included pictures and videos as proof. I remember staring at my phone, feeling my heart collapse. It was as if the world around me went silent, and all I could feel was betrayal. My Ashley, the person who knew me better than anyone, did this to me. I thanked the friend, made her promise to keep it between us, and hung up. I knew I was done. Cheating is something I could never tolerate, but this was even more painful because of my past. I'd been cheated on in high school, and it led me to such a dark place that I tried to end my life. Ashley knew all of this. She knew how deep those scars ran, yet she made the same choices that caused me such pain. I wanted to break down and let myself grieve, but first, I needed to protect myself. We shared an apartment, splitting the rent 50-50. I decided to move out without her knowing. I took 2 days off work and began to quietly pack my things. On the first day, I moved out non-essentials like my books, extra clothes, and personal keepsakes. That evening, when Ashley came home, she noticed a few things were missing and asked about it. I played it off, saying I sold some stuff and put some things in a storage unit to declutter. She seemed satisfied and didn't push further. I was furious on the inside, but I kept my composure to avoid suspicion. The next day, with help from my brother and his wife, I packed up the rest of my things and moved out completely by 3 p.m. When I locked the door to that apartment for the last time, it felt surreal. I didn't feel victorious, one felt hollow, but I knew it was necessary. From that moment on, I ignored every call and message from Ashley. I blocked her on everything. I didn't respond to her panicked texts or her friends' messages. She even reached out to my family, who were supportive of my decision and helped keep her at bay. But Ashley's family and friends didn't hold back. They flooded my phone with accusations, calling me heartless for ghosting her and leaving her without an explanation. Some even took to social media to paint me as the villain, but I didn't care. Ashley knew what she had done. In my mind, she no longer existed. My brother and his wife started to question if cutting her off so abruptly was the right move. Their doubts made me wonder if I was being too harsh, which led me here to ask if I was the asshole for shutting her out completely. The responses I received were overwhelming. Everyone told me I wasn't in the wrong and urged me to speak out, especially to Ashley's parents. I had avoided this because I didn't want to involve them, but I knew I needed to clear my name. I reached out to her mom, who had been like a second mother to me, and we arranged to meet. When I sat down with them at the diner, they were upset, and it hurt to see them like that. They were angry that I had cut them out without a word. I listened quietly as they vented, my heart aching because I cared about them. But then, they accused me of cheating. Ashley had convinced them that I had betrayed her and that she had thrown me out. I couldn't believe they bought her lies so easily. They were angry that I had cut them out without a word. I listened quietly as they vented, my heart aching because I cared about them. But then, they accused me of cheating. Ashley had convinced them that I had betrayed her and that she had thrown me out. I couldn't believe they bought her lies so easily. I laughed bitterly, said I was sorry, and walked out before I said something I'd regret. Back at my brother's place, I was livid. I didn't want to go nuclear, but she left me no choice. I composed an email with all the photos, videos, and the chat logs that proved her betrayal. I titled it, for your reading pleasure, and sent it to Ashley, her parents, our mutual friends, and one coworker of hers. The response was explosive. My phone buzzed with messages from shocked friends and family. Ashley's story unraveled instantly. People who had been convinced I was the villain reached out to apologize. The truth turned everyone against her. Word spread at her job, and unable to handle the embarrassment, she quit. Her parents, who had felt so betrayed by me, realized the truth and reached out to apologize. We've patched things up, but things will never be the same. Ashley, meanwhile, was left scrambling to pay her share of the rent. I had already paid for my portion of the lease when I moved out, so I was in the clear. Most of our mutual friends stopped talking to her, including some of her girlfriends who had known what she was doing. The irony wasn't lost on me. Even the friend who came forward ended up distancing herself from Ashley. That friend, by the way, became a bigger part of my life. We started texting more and more, initially just for support. But over time, we discovered we had so much in common, shared interests, similar goals. One thing led to another, and now we're dating. Some people might think it's a rebound, but it doesn't feel that way to me. She's kind, understanding, and supportive, and I'm genuinely happy for the first time in a long while. Ashley, from what I hear, is furious that I won't speak to her or give her closure. She tells mutual friends that my silence is torture. I can't help but laugh at that because if she thinks this is torture, she has no idea what real pain feels like. I have no interest in speaking to her again. I've moved on, surrounded by people who love and support me. Life is finally looking up, and I'm ready to leave the past behind.